Well, we've got both cars here today. Of course, the 97 Cobra and the Marauder. Right now, I'm working on the Marauder, and this is the original fuel rail pressure sensor. It works great, it has no issues. Of course, we have a Walbro 450 fuel pump in the fuel tank, and we want to make sure that this fuel rail pressure sensor lasts. I do highly suggest buying another one if you have one and keep it in your glove compartment, especially if you have aftermarket fuel pumps with a returnless style setup and even a return style. It's just insurance in case something happens, and a number 3 Allen wrenches, which it uses here on the fuel rail. This is the fuel rail pressure sensor dampener or saver, and it's basically just a small disc. They come from Kenny Bell, and you stick it right into the little hole of where the fuel rail pressure sensor actually sits at. And the purpose of this is just to keep the fuel rail pressure sensor from being blown out by any spikes in fuel pressure. Of course, your line setup and your tune will make a difference on how this goes. I've had success without this thing ever blowing out, and as you see, whoop, stuck it right in. And that's the installation of it. You'll take your fuel rail pressure sensor and, of course, make sure your actual seals on it are lubricated well. And, of course, you'll just stick it back in the hole like so, and make sure that you have proper clearance when you do, because we don't want any pinching or any issues. Got vacuum hoses in there, and I want to be sure that this seats all the way down. I do suggest cleaning around it before reinserting, just because sand and different particulates just get in there. So that's in, and I'll throw the bolts in and it'll be complete. This car needs a new fuel filter because that fuel filter is pretty old. Of course, over here we are on the Cobra because you're getting a two for today. I'm going to start out the fuel line installation. It's going to be a returnless setup, and we're going to have an aftermarket control system to actually regulate the fuel pressure. The ECU will eventually be aftermarket, but that's not the case yet. I do have a few things that I need to remove out of here, like this dryer for the AC system. It's quite old and probably needs to be replaced. I'm pretty sure it's the original one on the car, and this car has easily, over 200 something thousand miles on it. So it's time for it to go anyway. Heater hoses, not going to worry about any of that stuff on this setup. The engine is sitting exactly where it needs to be. I'm going to move some more accessories around in the engine bay and make sure that the engine is positioned exactly where I want it so that we can get the transmission in. We may move the car to a lift with a shop to put a transmission in it, but I also want to get the American racing headers. And once I do that, that's all there is to it. There's not much more that I actually have to do under the car itself, and that's why I want to give those updates. Okay, we'll walk around here. So, with that said, for this entire setup, the wire harnesses on the body are pretty decent. I do need to do some re-inspections to those, and once I pull the Marauder back out when I finish its services for the 162,000 miles I have on it right now, working on 163 probably by next month, we're going to move a few different things in the engine bay, and we're going to make all the setup just work out. The car is in the air, as you can see, but I really want to pick the car up a little bit more. I don't know if I'll do that yet, but we'll give it a shot and we'll see what the results are. Of course, the body needs some TLC, but everything looks pretty great. Otherwise, I'm just going to get my routing for the fuel lines underneath the car so that we have proper fuel line routing and we don't have any issues with temperature or abrasion when the vehicle is being driven, because the vehicle will be daily driven at some point. So we want to get everything to a roadworthy standard, and that's what I'm working on today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little update. Things have been pretty busy. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and stick around. Bear with me while I try to get things kind of moving forward here. All right, guys, that's all.